Alright, so in today's video we're going to talk about the ideal grass height for chickens. We're going to go through this infographic, and then because you don't want just some information, we'll go over some pictures from broilers that I have and review those. Some pictures from laying hens and the best grass height for those guys. And then turkeys even, and talking about some grass height. And then because this is Farm Marketing Solutions, we're going to go over some pictures of you, haha, so handsome, and why these types of photos are as important to your marketing as these types of photos are. So let's dive into it. All right, ideal grass height for chickens. This was so much fun to put together. I did my own illustrations. I put the information together. Very happy with it. Took me a little bit of time. I did not rehearse this, so we're just gonna, jump into it. So starting with the chickens, sitting down, we want roughly eye level with the grass in an edible shelter. So they're laying in the grass, and we're gonna see that in the photos in a little bit. And they can hide, they can get cool on hot days. They're safe from predators except for aerial predators, but on the ground, they've got a place to kind of have a good time and hang out. Standing up, they can see above the top level of grass. And that's important because they are a prey animal, because they're going to be looking for, are predators coming? Do I need to warn the flock? There are always people on lookout. There are always chickens on lookout and chickens hanging out, and those roles switch and will depend on their pecking order, but that's for a different video. So standing, they can see over the top of the grass to watch for predators. The average chicken is 16 to 20 inches or 40 to 50 centimeters tall when standing. And you take that into consideration when you manage for the height of your grass. And it's not always going to be perfect. So this is the ideal grass height for chickens, but not the mandatory grass height for chickens. The idea is that they're on grass that's rooted in soil, which is building soil health, creating habitat for their plants or for their tasty bugs, worms and grasshoppers and all manner of things that the birds are going to go in and eat. If you mow 2 to 4 weeks before adding chickens, that grass will have enough chance to regrow, be full of protein, be going through its senescence and growth curve, and will provide forage that is edible for your birds. What type of grass do chickens like? Tender regrowth, broadleaf plants so they can snap and rip them off. Native species and a diversity of types, because they will choose what they want to eat based on what their nutrient requirements are. They will always eat for energy first, but if they're lacking in something, they may get very specific about what type of forage they want to eat. So this is fun. If you want this infographic and an explanation of it, I have a blog post on my website, which I will link in the description of this video. So you can download this, print it out, and hang it up on your farm if you are teaching your interns, your farm hands, your partner, yourself how to raise birds. I wanted to produce something that would give you a quick reference for what is the ideal height for chickens. This may change as you adapt to like adding cows into the mix, but that is not in the scope of this video. So broilers. These videos are great. These are the marketing shot, or these photographs are great. They're the marketing shots. When you're talking about grass-fed chicken, you have chickens here in grass, laying down. See how that grass is taller than the bird? They're in a nice cool shelter with access to the ground, so they can scratch and peck and look for some stones for their grit. They can find bugs. They can hide away from predators. They're safe if it's a very windy day. They're always out and looking for stuff. You can see my birds. It's easy for them to move around because when the grass is way too tall, they have problems navigating it, and they'll stick to paths versus kind of free roaming around to get full access to the land. And if you have them in, say, a chicken tractor where they don't have a huge area to roam, you want to make sure that they're making best use of the area within inside of that chicken tractor, so that they can get the full nutritional benefit and find all the bugs and stuff. I know, such a scientist, eloquent speaker at times. They're gonna roam around like dinosaurs looking for things. See this guy's like looking to see where the competition is going, looking for opportunities. This one's staring down at the ground, looking for nutrition and interesting things to play with. And they're ignoring the feed bin right here because they're well fed, and now they're adding extra value in by living their life out in grass. And yeah, it's just nice. It's a nice illustration of a bird doing its thing, living out on pasture. Love these guys. Now for egg layers, you might manage them a little bit differently. They're going to be out and about in a mobile coop, and they'll have a wider area to roam than your broilers are. You might raise these in chicken tractors, but you're going to raise your egg-laying birds out on pasture where I don't have a good zoomed out picture. That's for my next topic, but here's the grass a little too long. You see how these birds have created a path, and they're all stuck in that one path. There's lots of flowers and seeds and fun things to get into, but I did a poor job of managing the pasture before I put these birds out in it. And now it's harder for them to navigate and get full benefit out of this forage. But it also, at this time of year, it was fun for them to roam around in. I'm sure there's lots of bugs in there, so they're getting extra protein from the bugs, but a little less from the grass itself. Always nice when you open the coop first thing in the morning to open it up, step back, and snap a photo of the birds in action going out, because they always have their eye on you. They're hoping that you manage your grass right so they can get around, they can look for the food, and just plain enjoy themselves. Here's a good balanced chicken forage where we've got more broadleaf plants mixed in with some seed heads, with some lower forage. If you let your grass grow too long, those long grasses are going to outcompete the shorter grasses that don't like to grow too high, and you will start to lack diversity. The more you manage your grass and your rest and your regrowth rates properly, you'll find that you don't have to seed your pastures as much, because they will grow back with those native species that are going to help support your birds. Now turkeys are a whole different animal because they're huge, and they love to just go out and roam and hunt and peck and find and forage. Turkeys are great foragers. You have to give them some grit to make sure that they can digest all of that stuff, but you can let your grass get a little bit longer. It doesn't always benefit you letting it get longer, because the longer it gets, the more fiber it produces to hold up to swaying in the wind. And when the grass is too long, then the birds, because they don't have teeth, they can't grab a hold of it and rip it off and chew on it. It's more of a string. And you think about trying to bite a shoelace. It's very hard. Biting a cookie is a lot easier to take a chunk out of it. Now, these are good. It's nice to see birds out on pasture, birds out in grass, pasture-raised poultry. And those are great marketing photos. You move the chickens in the morning or the afternoon, depending on what your system is. But right after you move the birds, before you feed them and they've sat in there and pooped on it all day, take some great pictures of them in action. But this can be greenwashed, and anybody can mimic these photos by taking some broilers, putting them in a small area of grass and saying, we're pasture raised. The magic and transparency comes from being able to take pictures of yourself in action and being able to zoom out a little further to show that your broiler production happens in a field where the birds are moved every single day. You're out there moving them onto fresh grass, and that grass is low enough that the birds can navigate it and get in here and eat all the crickets and grasshoppers and worms, chew on the seeds, and it's just a wonderful life for those birds. And even though there's always forage available, they're very happy during feeding time. And then this is uncomfortable for me. As much as my face is on the internet, I don't always like to show it. I like this new style of video where I don't have to be on camera as much. I can just have my hands here explaining something. But if you can get comfortable, I probably took like 10 or 15 photos to get one that I thought was acceptable to share with other people, of me in a chicken tractor with birds on grass, to say, I'm your farmer, here's where your food comes from. And to mitigate the problem of greenwashing, showing a little bit more expanse and zooming out, because this picture is easy to replicate, and you'll see this on certain, especially quote-unquote pasture-raised egg marketing. But anybody can take this photo of chickens in grass at one period of time, showing the effects over long term is a real benefit, a real, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just social proof to say, I'm doing it. Here's my field. Here's where the birds live. They're moved every day. It is chickens who are out on grass for a majority of their life in a majority rooted vegetative system, and pasture being plants that are rooted in the ground and have been managed in a way where the birds aren't stuck sedentary in a barn and going in and out and creating a moonscape, because we know that when they poop, their poop is full of nitrogen, and too much of that is too hot and makes it so that these plants can't grow, and you end up with just soil, and that's no good. So ideal grass height for chickens, you can check this blog post out on my website, link below. And yeah, I will see you later. Enjoy your day. Woo woo!